Welcome to the Union FC Indy Insider. It's a podcast to spotlight coaches, share club values, and connect with families within the soccer community. I'm your host, Brandon Faust. And today, joining me is Coach Josh Weinberg. Josh is the Girls Pathway Director at Union FC Indy, involved with senior travel as well with the club, and also acting as the ZYSA Recreational Liaison.
I'm lucky that I get to see recreational players come experience some travel.
Love that bridge.
Yeah.
Josh has been involved with the game for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was the owner of the soccer club Metro FC Toledo, director of coaching at Metro FC Toledo, which is kind of grew up in my neck of the woods.
Up in the same area.
Was involved with the Yavapai
Soccer north of Phoenix.
In Arizona.
Yeah.
An administrative role with Wisconsin Youth Soccer Association.
Yeah.
Admin, this is always a name that gets people excited.
Yeah.
Admin for the Liverpool FC SoCal International Academy rec programs. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, that was quite an experience in Southern California where there are absolutely an incredible amount of players.
Yeah.
Liverpool FC has an academy there. And what I did was I organized kids who wanted to come and experience a different level. So we would bring in coaches from England, and I would set up for them practices and games to be with these gentlemen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was the assistant at Bowling Green State University women's program.
Yeah,
Division I program. That's exciting.
Yeah, so there was a 6-month period where I was helping with them as they were transitioning between coaches, and I was lucky enough, since I'm from the area, to do a bit of stuff with it.
That was one of the schools that recruited me out of high school. Love that program in place as well. University of Cincinnati and University of New Mexico was involved with helping their women's programs as well.
So actually, the University of Cincinnati was my first foray into coaching. I was a student assistant, and that's actually how I met Robert Clotty, the illustrious Rob Clotty.
Yeah.
And, I was just a guy looking to spend some time with soccer, and he gave me a little bit of an opportunity to come on as a student, and it opened my eyes to the coaching world.
It's amazing. And then you were an ODP Olympic Development Program staff coach at Ohio North, New Mexico, and Utah.
Yeah, I did it for Utah as well. Yeah.
So, Coach, it's been great, getting to know you, and you and I kind of share some similar places that we've lived and all those things, which is always fun to reminisce on, and just a familiar face from a familiar place kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But talk to us as we get into more of your coaching story, but just your soccer story in general as we get to know you more. What was your primary position as a player? Was this a part of your life as a player, and what did that look like?
So that's a good question. I was a forward, but I was a technical target forward, if we can be a little sophisticated.
I understand that.
So I didn't score a lot of goals, but I was the one who could hold the ball up top.
You checked back to the ball, held up play, and then let all the fast people run around and make their runs and distribute the ball to them.
I could bring them in as chosen.
Love that.
Which was an adventure at times, for sure.
Yeah, very physical type of role.
Very much so.
What is one of your favorite soccer playing moments?
It's a good question. When I was 13, my dad, who traveled a bit, he was a European history professor, so we traveled overseas a bunch for his referencing books that he would be a part of. So we went to Israel for a year. So my favorite moment was getting involved with, I don't have a specific one, but in getting involved with their youth programs there and just seeing another culture playing soccer. And I was a part of something, as you know, as an American in the 80s, that soccer wasn't big. So we went over there, and I was absolutely a part of something that was growing, and it was quite a learning experience.
That's amazing. Sure. Yeah. Josh, what is the best advice a coach has ever given to you while you were a player?
That you have to enjoy what you're doing. Engage yourself, work hard, but if you don't enjoy it, it really does not matter what's going on in the field.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good reminder. We want our kids to thrive.
Yeah.
The kids, whether they're our children or the teams that we're coaching, we want them to thrive. We want them to win games, of course.
Of course, everyone wants to win.
But also that enjoyment, if they give it their best, if they give it their all, that they can hold their head high, be proud, and say, I had fun. I still had fun today. I still enjoyed this today.
Yeah. And I think people sort of equate fun to being sort of lackadaisical, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you're engaged and you work hard through a game, you can step off and say, you know what? I truly enjoyed that.
Yeah. What's your favorite, also a controversial question.
Yeah, controversial.
What's your favorite soccer team and or player historically?
Oh, my goodness. You know what? In 95 or 96, I went over to England to watch the European Championships. What a great experience. And England had this forward named Teddy Sheringham.
Yeah.
I don't know if people remember Teddy Sheringham, and he was a target forward. Now, he was big and strong. I'm nowhere near that kind of quality, but I just watched him, and I was just enamored with the fact that he could do things. Now, he could face, right? He could face a goal and do stuff, but his target play was just so good. Being able to bring bring other kids, we coach kids all the time, bring other players in. He was just, that was my favorite team and player.
Very good. What's been your most memorable moment since you've been at the club, since you've been at Union FC Indy? We've rebranded the travel program recently, but ZYSA. What's been your most memorable moment so far at the club?
My most memorable moment was my first day out at Pathway, right? Seeing those kids. We had 30 kids, 30 in one group and 20 in another. And the kids just came ready to play. They wanted to play. That's what they were asking for. And the most memorable moment was the first day stepping on that field and seeing those kids.
I love that. Love that. Now, Josh, what was your journey as a player, and then how did that kind of transition into the coaching side? Because there are a lot of people who want to try coaching. It ends up not being for them because they're like, well, you just kick the ball this way, which, that doesn't always work for instruction. But how did your love for the game turn into, develop into this love for coaching?
Well, Brandon, this is something that I've always thought about. All I ever wanted to do was coach. I have a degree in urban planning, and I've never used it because all I wanted to do was coach. And my ascension through youth soccer was simply about, I took it was an unconventional road. So I went and I played, right, when we moved overseas. I mentioned that earlier, and it made me love the game. When I came back to Ohio, I started playing at the medical college with some interns from overseas. And so I didn't have a conventional rise through club soccer or anything like that. They taught me the game, and I would play in the open league with them. And then I got to the point where when I got to college, I was like, I want to coach. And the story goes that Rob Clotty saw us playing at Cincinnati down at a field. He came and started playing with us. And so my playing sort of brought, and he talked to me about coaching, of course. And so my playing brought me directly into coaching, and that's how the coaching adventure began.
That's awesome. And I love, the stories of how people get into it. Because the thing with coaching is you'll get found out. If you don't love working with kids, if you don't have that ability to be patient and take that longer approach, I've seen plenty of coaches come in and out of, youth setups or high schools or different things like that because they're like, this just isn't for me, right? You really have to love this.
Well, I mean, it's the crazy part of my adventure is that back when I was growing up, we didn't have a instituted club system that would work. It was few and far between. So we found different ways to enjoy the game and to learn from the game.
Absolutely.
And so that's where my path was. It wasn't with as organized as we are now, which is tremendous.
Yeah. What for you led you to join Union FC Indy? Obviously, you've referenced, your relationship with our sporting director, Rob Claudy, but what kind of brought all this together in so many ways and brought you into the state of Indiana through this?
Yeah, it was living in Southern California. No one can beat the weather by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But knowing Rob for upwards of 30 years, we always kept in touch about what we were doing. And when he mentioned that this Union FC Indy thing was progressing, I had to be a part of it. I couldn't wait to be a part of it. So when people ask, well, you lived in California and everything, why'd you come to Indiana? Indiana's great, but the weather. Yeah. And I said to myself, I want to be a part of something that grows and that it makes people excited.
Yeah. Love that. What experiences have shaped your coaching philosophy over the years? As you've been on this journey, coaching at different age level, from college, and then moving back, and some people be like, why would you go back and coach, young people? But I'm just telling you, watching these developmental phases that are so critical, are so life-giving as a coach, to see kids get it, to put themselves in environments where they can be challenged and grow and do things they never thought they could do. So what experience have really shaped your coaching philosophy over the years?
Well, I have to say that I truly am a competitive individual, right? I go out, and as much as I want teaching to be the mainstay of this, of coaching, for the years I've been competitive about, God, I'm going to teach these kids not only what they need to know, but how to compete at all levels. And the one area I really haven't focused on was the 7 and 8s. So that opportunity says, now I'm going to work on the developmental aspect where it has the primary focus. And tactics aside, it's what makes them enjoy playing better soccer, and that's being on the ball. So the long-winded answer is simply, I love when kids can try and achieve things.
Yeah, I love that. And what excites you now that you've been here for a while? Has it been a year and a half?
It's a year today.
A year today.
Yeah.
What excites you about coaching here? And what kind of makes Union FC Indy and what we're doing and aspiring towards different from other clubs that maybe you've been around?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I have to say is people. People make this. I enjoy that the people are not only knowledgeable, but they're giving. And that's really hard to find. And so when we get together and we talk about the kids, we have the ability not only to implement the soccer part, but the human aspect of it. And I just am really into the fact that we can find paths for people as not just soccer players, but as human beings. Yeah. And we educate them for that as well.
I love that. How do you approach player development at this age group within the club's philosophy? What does that look like for you to engage these pathway age players specifically within our club's philosophy, and how do you focus on player development that way?
Well, player development is the buzzword of everyone these days. Yeah. But I take it very seriously. And my research and experience tells me that the kids just have to be on the ball all the time. A lot of them and a lot less of us. And so when I go into a practice, we educate, we put them in environments where they can be successful, but also learning being on the ball. So it's 500 touches in different environments per session, and let them experience the game a little bit. And I found out the kids have just blossomed with that.
I love that. And watching, I'll have a kid coming into Pathways in the fall. Yeah. And then having our older daughter who had gone through that experience as well, and watching in that age group the confidence that these girls have to be brave, to get a lot of touches on the ball. Perfect. And even though some of them can really knock a pass, that feels great, 15, 20 yards, some of them on a dime, it's like developmentally appropriate is this being confident on the ball, and this idea that later on in their journey, if they don't get these building blocks now, these technical competencies on the ball 100%. Now, it's going to be harder for them to gain that later in their soccer journey, right? They may have tendencies where they want to get rid of the ball more quickly, where these kids who in that environment, and that was really coaching at that age level as well, was really shaping to me to insert the club's philosophy into that, to say that we're this is why we're doing this is how we're doing it, and why it's important for their journey ahead.
We have weekly staff meetings, and in the weekly staff meetings, we sort of review our areas, pathway or junior travel or senior travel. And one of the things we talk about is, how do we allow the kids to fail? And people don't like to hear that word, but to fail, but then to learn from that failure.
Yeah.
And again, it's another buzzword, but it is. It's go on. You've hit the nail on the head. Be brave, and you're gonna fail. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's what life is.
Yeah.
But how can we teach you how to stand back up after that and be better at something that you're doing?
And try it again. Then go again in the same game, in the same training session, whatever. And
try.
Creating and celebrating when they make that decision to try it.
100%. Right? I mean, it absolutely is evident. Looking at our kids as they've grown these last 7 to 8 months, the difference is that they try.
Yeah.
They try. They stand up and try.
I love that. Josh, give us some final thoughts. A lot of our listeners, maybe some of the players, but a lot of the families and parents, some encouragement to those families, as we're in, maybe when this airs, it'll be in the heart of the season and all of these things. We want to win, but give some advice, encouragement for families as they tend to their kid, or maybe they're involved with coaching some other kids and they're listening to this. Some final thoughts of encouragement for them as we kind of go on the soccer journey, if you will.
There's a great balance between positive reinforcement and demand of a player. And if you're a parent or you're a coach, how can you balance those demands? You want your player to have the best and do their best, but you've got to be positive about it, because if they don't feel good about it, they're not going to do it. And so my advice would be, again, to a parent or other coaches who might be starting in this, is encourage the kids to do better, but be there to help them.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And I think the tendency, as a parent and as a coach, the tensions of both of those hats, right? All those kinds of things, which are wonderful, is when you're not sure what to say, just encourage your kid.
100%.
Applaud them for staying with it. Praise their effort, even on a game that maybe isn't their best, and just reinforce, like you said, that encouragement to them on their soccer journey. Because one game is one game.
One game.
That's all it is.
And it's over.
Yep.
And if I can just build on that, simply saying, the kids learn faster if you give them expectations, but don't take those expectations away.
Yeah, it's good. Well, Josh, thank you for jumping in.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So good to have you on here. It's been great over the last year or so to get to know you. Thanks for all you're doing for the club. And we want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Union FC Indy Insider. We'll see you next time.